Today, we're back on the highway and heading west once again. With all the snow but melted and everything turning green, it might feel like the adventure season is just beginning, and today we're chasing one last taste of winter. We're bound for Banff and ultimately Sunshine Village, hoping to squeeze in one final day in the snow. What does Banff have to offer this time of year, and will we actually find any snow left? You're just going to have to wait and see.
And welcome back to another adventure. Calgary is just behind us and we're heading west once again. Today we're heading back into the beautiful national park known as Banff. Well, what are we doing in Banff? Well, it might look like it's spring out in the prairies, but out there, out at Sunshine Village, they actually got another 15 centimeters of snow. So of course, we had to go see if we can catch one last powder day skiing this year. Unfortunately, this ski season hasn't been all that good. We did get the one day at Lake Louise, and while we did get some good snow, unfortunately, it was just crazy busy and we weren't really able to enjoy it as much as I liked. So that's why we're heading out for one last spring skiing adventure, hopefully to catch some snow. As you saw in the Lake Louise adventure, we woke up at Lake Louise and got some epic snow, around 30 to 40 centimeters. Today, we are actually driving into Banff and then into Sunshine, and then probably maybe spend a little bit at Banff and explore that a little bit as we come back. Why we did this? Well, unfortunately, it was raining down at Banff, and I didn't really want to go camping in the rain. And with the campsites still not open, there wasn't any nice campsites in Banff. So with it being a little bit brighter, a lot earlier, like right now it is 7:30 and we're on the highway and look at it's pretty much daylight, we thought we might as well just drive out to Banff and hit the ski hill from there. So we've got a nice little drive through, well, the pretty green prairies before we get into the mountains, Canmore, and then eventually end up going through Banff and then climbing up into the Sunshine Village. We are in the mountains, and I gotta say, with everything turning green and the snow on top of mountains, and then we kind of got these low-hanging clouds kind of going around the mountains, it is a beautiful drive. You can never complain when you're in the Rocky Mountains, but we're not quite to even Canmore yet, so we still got quite a ways. We got about 45 minutes, but it's the best 45 minutes of the drive. I gotta say, doing this drive when it's 6 a.m. and there's blowing snow in one lane and it's crazy busy, it's less enjoyable. Or I guess it's enjoyable, but in a different way compared to this. This is just a nice casual drive. I can't complain. Looks like there's even people that are going mountain biking because, well, all the trails at lower elevation are good to go. Behind us are the gates into Banff, so we're officially in the Banff National Park. And usually there's a pretty good mountains right there, and I can just see the top of that mountain. But it looks like we do have a pretty good amount of low cloud cover, which actually, I'm not complaining, because that means that once we get into Sunshine Village and take the gondola up into the base area before we take the chairlifts up, we will probably get a good inversion, meaning it's going to be even warmer up top, or at least we're going to have a pretty good view on top of the clouds. That said, Banff, even though I've been to Banff, I don't know, 100 times, maybe even more at this point, I do definitely always forget how nice it is here. It is definitely a very busy spot, no matter spring, winter, summer, or fall. It is definitely a beautiful park though, and that's why it's so busy. Main reason Sunshine Village is even open at middle of May is because, as I said, you drive up to kind of like the gondola area, then you take the gondola even higher up, and that's where the base area is. So they're not black in snow. Like Lake Louise is already closed. The only two ski hills that are open, I think, are Whistler and Sunshine Village right now. We're making our way up the Sunshine Access Road, and typically in the winter you'd be seeing snow along the side and you'd be seeing a lot of snow pile up on the mountains. Well, in the spring it's green on the side and there is only a little bit of snow and, well, a deer on the side of the road. So it definitely is a little bit different. Another thing that's crazy is usually there's a ton of traffic heading up here. As a weekday, a spring weekday, it's not that busy. So I'm hoping that we get not very much lift lines today and get lots of runs in. I am noticing at very high altitudes up there, at the very tops, like the Goat's Eye Mountain stuff, there does look to be some fresh snow, and I did check this morning and there is some fresh snow. How much that is, we'll have to see. But they said, as I said, like 12 centimeters overnight, which is really good for a spring day. I didn't bring the powder skis because there's no point in bringing the powder skis with that little bit of snow. But as I said, I think it'll be a good kind of ender to our winter season. And well, we've made it to the parking lot, so it's time to go ahead and get ready. And well, we're heading up the gondola. There's a little bit of snow here, but the ski out below us is completely dry. If you guys are familiar, typically you can ski from the base area to where the gondola starts. Unfortunately, we will not be doing that because it's all dirt. So it is definitely spring skiing conditions. I'm looking forward to seeing what it looks like up higher up there, because we have quite the elevation. I can start to see the chairlifts over there, so I think we should be getting some relatively good snow for, well, the middle of May.
Now on the hill, we headed up the brand new chairlift right to the top, where we found the conditions to be a little crunchy this early in the morning. But it wasn't long before they dropped some rope into some fresh terrain. As we get in lower elevations here, you're starting to notice that snow is very, very sticky and very, very slow. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna do every run down here. So there's like 5 main runs, we'll do that. And then we'll probably head back up the divide, hit maybe the TP chair and Angel a couple more times, and then probably call it a day, because obviously, as I said, Goat's Eye is closed, and well, anything farther past Goat's Eye is definitely closed because there's no snow. But it's a beautiful day. Like, we've got this epic view right here, and it's nice and warm, and well, at upper elevations the snow is pretty good. It's really good for carving. Maybe not what I like for powder days, but you can't complain when it's the middle of May. And well, we're coming back down the mountain. It's like 2 right now, or 2:15. The snow is just getting stickier and stickier, and with my wide skis and not a spring wax, it was definitely a little bit sticky. I would actually almost get thrown over the skis a couple times. But that being said, it was still a good day up top on the divide. I just lapped that over and over, and you can't really complain. Good views. The snow up there was pretty good. It wasn't icy, and that's like my least favorite thing, so it was nice to have that. But we're just coming down to the Goat's Eye where they have the hill closed here, and pretty much as we kind of exit that station, it's pretty much no snow. So here's our last little glimpse of snow before we go ahead and we'll make it down to the base, load up the car, and as I said, it's still 2, so maybe we'll head into Banff, explore Banff a little bit, and then eventually head back to Calgary.
And well, we're ready to go hit the road. It does look like there is quite a few people heading out, because, well, that would honestly make sense. It is pretty much 3 by the time we got down here and all unpacked. And well, that snow is going to be super sticky, even if you have like a spring wax on it and you've maybe got some carbon skis. But it was, as I said, overall it was good to get out one last time, and well, for a spring trip, you can't complain about those conditions. It was a good, as I said, like they said about 10 centimeters. I would say a little bit less. They like to elevate their readings a little bit, or they have them in a sheltered spot. But it is still a great time and a great day on the hill. With that said, we're gonna head back down to the highway, and as promised, we're actually not gonna finish the video off right here. We're gonna go explore Banff a little. Banff is an interesting place. As I said, I've been to Banff a ton of times, and I kind of take it for granted that it's a super desirable place to travel that gets a ton of tourists, and I just can casually go to Banff. So I do take it for granted a little bit, but we're gonna go explore. I do want to scout out their camping, because I think it'd be cool to do a little bit of a camping trip in Banff later this summer. So let me know down below if you'd like me to do a video like that. After going to Banff for so long, there's not a ton of shops that really interest me. Sure, there's some sporting goods stores like some new skis and stuff, but I can tell you, I can't afford some new skis right now, so we definitely didn't go in there. We just grabbed the bite to eat, kind of walked around the main street, which a couple years ago was actually a walking street. Unfortunately, they put it back to a road, but we were still able to kind of see the mountain on the other side. With that said, we're not quite done our adventure yet. I want to get up to the Tunnel Mountain trailhead. Obviously, we're not going to go hike Tunnel Mountain today, but we're going to go up there. It is starting to rain, but maybe we'll get a good view of the kind of the surrounding areas before we go ahead and then finally go through the Tunnel Mountain kind of campgrounds. I don't know if they'll let us drive through them, because they'll probably think we're trying to snipe a spot or something, but we'll go ahead and see. But first, we need to get through Banff and then get to the trailhead. That road was supposed to be closed according to Google Maps, but I'm thankful it wasn't. That had an epic view as we kind of ran our way across the mountains, taking us to the other side of Tunnel Mountain where the campsites are. I thought I'd have to go back through Banff to get to this area, but that road looks like it's open. Obviously it's closed during winter, but I was surprised that Google Maps says it's closed, and it definitely was not.
Coming into a view of the trailer courts and Village 2, we noticed the campsites along the ridge. Hoping we could get a glimpse of them, we drove past the entrance.
Well, it looks like we won't be checking out the campsites at Village 1 because the road is completely closed. They don't even let you get close. So hopefully we'll be able to see some sights along the road as we're driving by and making our way well back to the highway, because that's really all I wanted to see, was just check out a few little things here and there in Banff, because as I said, it's always nice to just stop by before we hit the highway back towards Calgary. And with all the traffic, as you probably tell, we've made it back to Calgary. So that is gonna wrap up, well, our last skiing adventure of the season, obviously, because Sunshine actually closes next weekend. So we got that little bit of a sprint powder day, thankfully, as one of our last runs for the season. With that being said, we're gonna wrap it up here. So I hope you enjoyed this little bit different of an episode. Let me know what you thought of it as we skied and explored Banff. And while you're down in the comments, don't forget to go ahead and check out Flat for Off-Road for all your Adventure Super needs, as well as the channel memberships for some exclusive perks. And I'll be seeing you in the next adventure.